by police while suffering an epileptic seizure. That seizure caused him to crash his car, but instead of being treated like a victim, he says officers treated him like a criminal. NBC Barry's Jody Hernandez shows us the body camera video that led to that lawsuit.
Yeah, so the car went down right over here.
22-year-old Jack Bruce shows us where he crashed his car last April after suffering his first ever seizure while behind the wheel.
I just remember going up to visit.
Okay, sounds like a nice guy. I watched the story already. First ever seizure from the wording there, while behind the wheel, right? Not his first seizure ever.
My grandmother, and when I left that house, my memory cuts off.
Well, Jack doesn't remember what happened next. Hercules police body camera video shows it all.
If he's having a seizure, just let him be.
His attorney says witnesses called it in as a seizure and says officers didn't give him enough time to get out of his car.
If you keep pulling your seatbelt, I'm going to rip your seatbelt.
One officer immediately begins peppering him with questions.
Did you ingest any drugs, dude?
After Jack failed to get out of the car, things escalated.
Do not f***ing fight us. All right. You will get ripped out of this car.
Within minutes, officers began tasing him.
You're about to get tased, dude.
Bro, let me get on.
Ow! Get out of the car!
You know, I'm just having a medical emergency. I had no ill intent, anything like that.
Jack says he has no memory of any of it. He was handcuffed and left bloodied and bruised. He says he finally came to at the hospital.
Tons of pain. I would say the worst pain I've ever been in my life.
The treatment for a seizure is time. In the space of 10 minutes, based on his subsequent seizures, he would have been fine. He would have walked out of that car under his own power.
Jack's attorneys have now filed a lawsuit saying Hercules police mishandled the incident.
He was tased 3 times. He was punched in the face twice, pulled by the hair, pulled by the limbs, cursed at, yelled at, shoved, poked, grabbed.
Jack says he was told he would be charged with DUI and resisting arrest. But his attorney says the only substance found in his bloodstream was the medication he got in the ambulance. Ultimately, the DA threw the case out.
Just disgusted. I'm hurt mentally, physically. Just watching it makes me hurt. It's just something that no one should go through, and I don't want it to happen again.
Jack says officers need to treat people suffering from medical emergencies with compassion. He's now learning to live with epilepsy and hoping his lawsuit will lead to change.
I've never had any run-ins with the police. I still, my view doesn't change on the police. They're not trying to do something bad, but they just did the wrong thing here.
We reached out to the Hercules Police Department, but did not hear back.
So I was looking up some stuff, and some of the reports that what I found said that he had never seen a doctor. He hadn't. I know, but I caught the same thing when they said his first ever seizure from behind the wheel, because as we both know, or as we all know, that it's not that you can't drive if you have but you have to. No, they have to be on certain medication. They have to have seen a doctor. There's a whole procedure they have to go through, and they have to have been seizure free for like this. Anyway, there are ways. It's not that they can never drive, but
you can have a very restricted license. And in some cases that your license could be suspended temporarily close to that incident. Like you said, it's going to take how long have you not had a seizure? I don't know if he was doesn't sound like he was in any violation of that. But let's talk about what they're assuming. And I'm not there. Don't know the officers and speak to them. My assumption is, and I've made these own assumptions, when you come across something like this, you automatically think the person is DUI in some way, either drugs or alcohol. I don't know if I saw in the body camera, and again, I only watched it one time. Did I see some urgency to get him out of the car? And I don't.
That's what I don't understand, because as they were approaching the car, they did say that if he's having a seizure, just leave him alone. That's what I heard.
Who was saying that? Was that a witness or was that the officer?
I couldn't tell if it was coming from the officer or one of the witnesses that were there.
Right.
But I know that, like, I think I was telling you earlier, I went to a call where some guy was supposedly driving erratically, People were saying he was drunk and he was all over the road.
Yeah.
Put out the vehicle description. I'm heading over there, gonna go look for the vehicle. Next thing I know, a call comes out. There's an accident. A car into a building. He hit a restaurant. They give out the car description. Same car. I get there. The guy's in the car. I jump out. So my head, because they put out over the radio, possible DUI. The way he was driving like, sorry.
Who's that? Frank?
No. Anyway, so I was lucky enough that a woman, she ran up to ask me if I needed any help, and she identified herself as a nurse, emergency room nurse. Yeah. And as soon as she said that, and she looked, and she said to me right there, she goes, he's not drunk. She's looking at his eyes. She goes, he's having a seizure, or he's coming out of having a seizure. And I was
it happens a lot. And you have to be, the other thing is diabetics too, the shock. So the call came out in the late 2000s. Someone tried to pull someone over southbound at Hamilton on 17, and the car was all over the place, just back and forth, but not super fast. And then it went southbound 85, it went northbound 85, and now we got a pursuit, we got an airplane unit, and again, the car is all over, but not fast, but just about traffic speed, 70 miles per hour, but all over the road. And then we get him on, he goes to southbound 280, and he starts hitting the center K rail, the center divide, and the cars are slowing down. And then we actually pin him to the K rail. And then as we come up on the car, we're in a situation kind of like this. We're with somebody, we assume it's drugs, we assume it's alcohol, we assume he's by himself. There's no smell of alcohol. And it took a minute to realize, oh, this guy's diabetic.
Right.
And then we would keep the little sugar
pill things,
right? The little packets.
Yeah.
Begins with the G. Sorry. As soon as it hits their lips, they wake up. Right. Like giving them a candy bar or something like that. Right. As soon as it hits their lips, as soon as that sweetness hits their lips, they wake up. And that's what it was. It was a shock that they were just.
But like you just asked the question, what was the urgency? The car wasn't on fire or anything.
Glucose.
Okay, we don't mean to Monday morning quarterback, but let's just say we're going to Monday morning quarterback this one. And I think that more than likely what I would have done, because you even don't know, the car looked like it was pretty messed up, is render the scene safe, make sure there's no weapons, make sure everything's cool, and wait for emergency, the first responder, the paramedics or the fire department, and let them deal with it as medical. If you still suspect there's drugs or alcohol involved, it's very simple. You have one officer stays back, takes the accident report, the other one goes to the hospital, you do a blood draw, you write up the report pending DA's review. If they don't find anything, then it's it's a wash.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. And again, we've all kind of had our, you will respect my authority.